welcome everyone. We're gonna get started here. As you know, I'm a stickler for ending right on time because I know you all have things to do. So we're gonna make sure that we can get as much of this through as we can, get some good conversations going, get a little bit of learning, meet each other a little bit more, and then get out of here on time. It almost goes without saying that these are very, very unprecedented times. It's not just the things that have been happening in politics, the things that have been happening with our public health system, but now people from Reddit are controlling the stock market. So this is a very, very weird time. And similarly, learning is very fractured for students. The learning losses that students are experiencing during the pandemic are staggering. Researchers are saying that the best solution for helping students gain ground is to rethink our approach to education and learning. And that's what we're here to talk about today, remake learning. And now I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Tim Francisco, who some of you have met before, a professor at Youngstown State University, community leader and organizer. He's going to explain Remake Learning Days and what we're going to be tackling today. Tim? Muted. You're muted.
It's the classic, right? The classic. So hello, everyone, and thank you, Jeremy. Welcome to our meetup, our Northeast Ohio meetup for Remake Learning Days. Remake Learning Days is a nationwide festival that connects families and communities through innovations, pop-up learning experiences, and all kinds of really cool, this year, virtual and in-person activities. Interactive, hands-on learning events are organized around learning themes. And many of you I've spoken with briefly, and I've directed you to the learning themes that I'll put in the chat as Yu-Ling is going through her discussion of remake learning. Themes are arts, youth voice, science, outdoor learning, all kinds of places where you can plug in your organization and connect to our communities and to our families. I'm going to introduce Yu-Ling Cheng, who is co-producer for Remake Learning Days across America. I know a lot of you are new to this experience, so Yu-Ling will provide a really great introduction, and then from there we will learn from some students about what their kind of COVID year of education has been like, and maybe use that knowledge as we discuss our remake learning for Northeast Ohio. So Yu-Ling, it's your show.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be here. So I wanted to just give an overview about Remake Learning Days, a little sense of history. And let's see, let me just make sure I can actually advance my slides. Yes. Okay, so here we are. So hello. And it'll be about 15 minutes. I will show a video, so hopefully that'll bring to life what it is that we try to do. And we're excited that Northeast Ohio has come back as another partner for the second year. So I work with Tyler and Dory in Pittsburgh, and we work on Remake Learning Days across America, which is in 17 regions. And what we really try to think about is this question. And I know that many of you think about this question as well. So what if all of us, whether you're a parent, a caregiver, educator, a community member, if we saw ourselves as children's learning allies and led our work in that manner? And so with that, it led us to produce a learning festival. And this learning festival, what we really focus on is having parents and caregivers learn alongside their children. So a little bit more about that in a second. Remake Learning Days was a brainchild idea from a network called Remake Learning, which started in Pittsburgh. This is our mission statement. We became a network in 2007, which is also the same year that the iPhone came out. And what we kept hearing from people was that children are learning differently now. They are not the same. And it's because of the rapid social and technological advances that we've gone through. I mean, I'm sure you all have personal experience seeing that in your life. And so it started with informal gatherings over pancake breakfasts, and we would get roboticists together with an educator, with maybe a dancer, with maybe a librarian, and they would just talk about these ideas of how to make learning relevant for kids. So with that, The network has now grown to more than 500 organizations. We've reimagined learning spaces all across Southwestern PA. We have more than 2,400 educators involved. We have different types of working groups, from equity to youth voice to STEM ecosystems, that all just think about what can we do for kids. So as we were looking at this, we were like, children learn everywhere, right? And they're interested in all different things. So we created a profile of a learner, and I won't go through this entire chart, but where I am going to focus in on is this part right here, where learners are connected across all the places that they live, work, and play. So I was looking in the chat box, seeing where many of you are from, and I definitely recognize some names from the 2019 festival. So for those of you here that participated in 2019, thank you. But you are representative of this. The museums, the parks, the libraries, the community centers. These are all places where kids learn, and many people understand that. It's not just in school. And so we realized as a network that we were missing a really important person at the table, or people. And those were our parents and caregivers, getting them to be a part of this mission of creating relevant learning for their kids. And so with that, Remake Learning Days was born. This is one of my favorite pictures. It was from one of our kickoff events. And this one happened to be an after-school program where a mentor brought a group of kids to experience all different types of learning and to see, and they each chose their hashtag sign that they wanted to be. So with that, Remake Learning Days across America has grown to a national movement. It started in 2016 in Southwestern PA. The national dates are April 22nd through May 23rd. But every region gets to pick their own dates. And so in Northeast Ohio, it's specifically May 15th through May 23rd. And so this gives you a sense as to all the regions participating. And we do have some that participate as an entire state. So you see Oregon on there, and they actually engage their 16 STEM hubs. In Ohio specifically, so we have Northeast Ohio, and then we also have Greater Cincinnati and a little bit of Kentucky in there. So these are all the regions, and hopefully you see that we take the time to develop a logo for every region. While we provide an umbrella framework, we recognize that learning is at a local level, that the organizations at a local level are the ones that understand what families need most. So these are really fun logos, and Northeast Ohio picked out 5 to 6 landmarks that they liked, and we turned it into a logo. Just briefly, these are our national sponsors. They provide us funding, which in turn then we're able to provide some funding to the regions to support their work. And we also have national partners, and some of these national partners, like Digital Promise, help provide a framework for building a STEM ecosystem, or to incorporate equity and inclusion into how you build your festival. And then we have partners like Common Sense Media, Learning Heroes, PBS Kids, and Noggin, who partner with us in doing family outreach. So the goals of Remake Learning Days, and I'm sorry if there are questions in the chat box, I'm not seeing them because I'm in screen share. So feel free to, Tim, feel free to shout them out at me and let me know, or Jeremy. The goals of Remake Learning Days is one, what I said before, which is really to have the parents and caregivers learn alongside their kids. We have research from over the last 4 years where we've documented parents' understanding of STEM, STEAM, STREAM, and it's grown over time in the last 5 years. And in fact, it's also, their lack of familiarity has decreased almost to zero. And we want parents to do this learning so that they realize, like, oh, I can do this with my kid. We've noticed that there's a disconnect. Parents are typically worried about doing something with their kids because they feel like they need to be the expert. Kids, they've reported in their surveys that they enjoy the event more if their parents were with them, compared to kids who just came with another adult. And so kids just want their parents and caregivers there to see the passion to try things together. Another goal of Remake Learning Days is to introduce families to local neighborhood learning places. And we specifically do the festival in the springtime in hopes that, one, it's at the end of the school year, hopefully it's past the testing period, before summer camps. families go out and explore these free learning events. They become familiar with local organizations, and then hopefully they then explore that relationship with that local organization into the summer, and then we help combat summer learning loss. So this is like a pretty little flow chart. You know, everyone has to have a flow chart of what we try to do. So there's outreach to welcome families, there's the showcase, building that relationship, creating familiarity with terms like STEM, STREAM, project-based learning, to hopefully then kids become more interested in learning, they spark something with their parents, and then they go explore more community resources, and it hopefully broadens the child's development. And so with Remake Learning Days, we jokingly like to call it the world's largest open house of learning. And so we actively work with regional leads who then work with local partners, asking them to host events for families. It's almost like an open house. And so these are all the different types of event hosts that we've seen participate. And we always tell event hosts, you do not have to create something new for Remake Learning Days. In fact, the first thing you should do is go look at the calendar to see what you already may have planned in that time frame and submit that as an event. We are not looking to create extra work. What we're trying to do is provide a showcase and a spotlight on what you're doing and to get families activated in that learning process. And as Tim mentioned, these are the different learning icons that we have over time. We've expanded this. So when families go to our website to search for events, they can search by region, by zip code, by age group, day of week, what learning themes their child or youth might be interested in. And the website will resort all the events. And this year, because of COVID-19, we've added the ability for event hosts to submit either hybrid events, virtual, or in person, and families, when they come, they can also sort through it. And so we're really excited about that, because with the idea of virtual now, hopefully you'll draw in families from outside of your region. So for example, I saw that San Diego is doing something called the Science of Tortilla Making, and it's a virtual event. So I think my kids and I are going to Zoom in to San Diego and participate. So with that, I thought I would show a brief video about Remake Learning Days, just to give you a sense of what it looks like. And I know many of you participated in 2019, so some of you have had that sense. This is a video that I love that we did in, I believe, 2018, where we followed 4 families in Pittsburgh and asked them what they thought. So this is about a 6-minute video, and then we'll come back and I'll just wrap up and answer any questions. Am I okay on time, Tim? Great, okay. So here we go.
Good. Yep.
Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Oh. Sorry, hold on 1 second.
You can just do the audio and I can act it out if you need to.
Let's see. Just give me 1 second. I just have to find my Zoom screen again and share. And I will this time share my desktop. And we will go here. Had a backup version ready. Okay.
Right now, we're here at the Millville Community Library, engaged in one of our storyteller activities for the week. Back in the makerspace, we have kids engaged in stop motion animation, as well as an audio recording experience. You know, we'll take a couple pictures, we'll move our character, take a couple pictures.
It fell off?
See, isn't that cool?
Yeah. We didn't really have those kinds of opportunities to be involved in maker type of events until we were really in middle school or high school. So I think exposing them to this kind of stuff early on, it opens up a lot of different doors for them.
I'm doing make a float, float a boat. I used this model magic and I shaped it into like a circular piece, and it was really thick and it floated.
It's really about changing how kids learn. No more sitting at desks, listening to teachers talk. Kids are doing things. They're making things. They're exploring things.
Turn west. What way's west again? That one or that one? Okay.
You make things hard, you make them persevere, you make them problem solve, and you watch slight frustration, but you also watch the success at the end.
Oh! Go fish!
When we engage kids in learning, we keep them in learning all the time.
Remake Learning Days, it's just wonderful to see all of the things that Pittsburgh has to offer in terms of revolutionizing the way education works, and just to see them all side by side and have them celebrated by people is wonderful.
We're having a lot of fun.
Go throw harder than that. There you go. We have this awesome gift in Pittsburgh, and he can work and actually make video games someday, and not just play them, but test them and put audio to them. I mean, there's a lot more than just sitting down and playing video games.
I'm making storyboarding. Storyboarding is deciding like what will happen in a video or a movie.
It was interesting to see how bold they were in front of the camera and behind the camera and in this kind of an environment.
I'm the director. Slave. Action.
It was just really good to see them take off and do their own thing and enjoy it. The way we try to motivate and educate our kids is by exposing them to things that they themselves can be self-motivated to, pursue or learn or be interested in. And this is a great event for that. We brought them here, but they're the ones who are deciding how long we stay here, and they're the ones who want to stay here longer.
This is our second year of participating in Remake Learning Days. Our event is called Family STEAM Night. Families are going to get to experience a robotics program, a program that specializes in sustainable design. And then we're going to have our Green Box activity for our Media Lab program. So that's an opportunity for kids to use action figures and green screens to create digital art.
They love building things. They love exploring and trying to find, how does something work? How to make something better. Any opportunity that they have to do that, I think, is great. And Remake Learning makes that really easy because they have a very nice schedule and you can find what works for your schedule pretty quickly.
Do we have these robots at home? No. Are we aware of all the educational tools that are being used today? No. It's events like these, I think, where people are here to teach them and spend time with them. It's focused on them. It's just an amazing opportunity for them to get their hands on it, And then when you're here, you say, oh gosh, yeah, we have to do more of this.
We're changing what we do in the classroom and how we do it.
Exposing people to many different options so they can find the thing they're in love with and start working on it early and start educating themselves in parallel to what they learn in school. That's the key to success in the 21st century.
So that's a brief video of Remake Learning Days. Hopefully that kind of gave a sense as to what the festival looks like. And as I shared, that one is more specific to Southwestern PA, but we've done videos of other regions as well. Other than that, I was just going to just say, how can you participate? And so to host a family-friendly event, and I put the national dates in here, but of course your dates are specifically May 15th through 23rd. The other way is to become an ambassador for the festival. So help us market the festival, help us do family outreach. As you saw, we reach out to national partners to help us do things like that. But we also rely on local partners to help us, and your families better than we do. The other thing I'll just share briefly is the website. And so you can easily go here to submit your event. You can come down here and you can quickly find which region you're interested in, right? So where you would be looking specifically at Northeast Ohio. I'm just going to pop over to another frame that I have open here, which is once your event is submitted and once we publish this map doesn't exist on the website now, so don't try to go look for it. But on the back end, I've pulled up the map of events that have been submitted so far. And you can see over here on the left side that families can come, they can put their zip code in, they can say, find an event 10 miles near me. I want an event specifically on these days. I'm interested in these themes, this type of event. Here are the ages of my kids. Tell me which events are appropriate for my kids. The majority, 98% of events are free. And then if there's a cost, most of the time it's $25 or less. You can come down here and click on which regions. And if you have accessibility needs, you can click here as well. And this website will then resort all the events to find the ones that are relevant for you and your family. So other than that, I just wanted to say this is my contact information. We are grateful to NEOSTEM for being the regional host. Very grateful to Tim and Alyssa and Jeremy for being a partner in all of this. And I'm personally excited about Northeast Ohio, and you guys are only a 3-hour drive for me. So I'm also excited to be able to participate in your festival personally. So I will turn it back to Tim, but I'm also happy to answer questions. Hopefully I stuck within my time limit.
No problem. And thank you, Yuling. You know, one of the things that I love about Remake Learning is that idea that you mentioned that you don't have to create new content if you already have programming available. The idea here is that we want to highlight all of the incredible regional organizations, whether that's existing programming or custom built programming. And we imagine a time when during Remake Learning Week in Northeast Ohio, there's programming occurring within walking distance of every child in the region, so that even if transportation is an issue, there's something that can be nearby. We won't be there this year, but that's kind of an ultimate goal. I didn't see any questions in the chat yet, but some of those might bubble up through the remainder of the hour. So please make sure that you get those there. We'll answer as many as possible. And if there are ones we can't get to, we'll get them to the appropriate people and get answers back to the group. Now we have a really unique opportunity to hear from some Cleveland students who will share with us their current learning experiences and talk about something that worked for them to help inspire us to think about our own programming. To introduce the students is NEOSTEM Director Alyssa Briggs, who will explain the WIRED project and then facilitate a conversation with the students. Alyssa, it's WIRED, right? Because I always want to say Wire Ed.
Well, it's wired.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we think, we're certainly open. We're only in our second pilot, and we'll ask the students here maybe that question, whether they want it to be wired or wire ed. So we'll discuss that. But thanks so much, Jeremy. So I want to take you guys back in your minds to just a few short months ago, early spring of 2020. And, it's something that we all remember, all too well and all too painfully well, when everything started shutting down. We started hearing stories that then were pretty startling and jarring. And now, because it's the new reality, are very commonplace. Those first stories that we started hearing were about so many businesses in Northeast Ohio that were being forced to shut down because they had no means for bringing in any revenue because they had no online presence. They had no way for customers, even if they wanted to, if it was a beauty shop and people wanted to buy hair care products from them, to just, throw them some support, or gift cards, or barbershops, they had no online presence whatsoever, or restaurants that didn't have an online presence and couldn't do curbside pickup. So right at that same time, we were hearing stories equally as, disturbing, now again, very commonplace, about students being unable to attend online classes because they were trying to help, do odd jobs, deliver Instacart groceries or other things to help support their families who had been, laid off from primarily service jobs. So the idea occurred to some of us in NEOSTEM that those two ideas were pretty powerful, and that we knew a few things about students in our region. And that is that many of them are incredibly motivated, have a lot that they want to give back, are very civic minded, are digital natives. And so we came up with the idea of pairing these students with the business owners to see if they couldn't help the business owners develop an online profile in, pretty short turnaround. So it was an idea, and thanks to the ingenuity of the students involved in the project, this idea became a very big, good idea. It was very, very, very successful. And it was so successful that we think that there are some important learning lessons that go right into the whole themes of remake learning that we wanted to amplify and pluck out a little bit. And the dominant lesson, and we're going to hear from the students in just a second, the dominant lesson is that students were positioned as the experts. It was the students who were asked to teach business owners about growing their online presence. It was the students who held the expertise, and they were in, the position of coaching, of mentoring. And I think you're going to hear, what happens and how powerful that is. So one of the learning themes for this year's Remake Learning events is Youth Voices. So we've asked 2 students who participated in the first pilot of Wired to join us today, first to share, their learning situation, and then some of the greater lessons from Wired. Once we hear from the students, Tim will then explain the breakout sessions to talk about events for Remake Learning, and perhaps you might think about how you can incorporate some of what you hear from the students into events that you may want to be building for our very own Remake Learning Days. So now it's my total honor to introduce Annalise Everett and Simone Cummings. So Annalise, let's start with you. First, please tell us where you attend school and what grade you're in, and then offer a few comments about what learning has been like for you over the last few months.
Okay, hi, good morning. My name is Annalise Everett. I previously attended Cornerstone Christian Academy, but I'm in my senior year at Ohio Connections Academy, which is a completely online school. This past school year, especially with COVID breaking out, was pretty tough for me. It was a lot of unknowns and just stuff, happening a lot. It was pretty hard, really staying motivated and keeping my stress levels under control. But I was able to work through it.
We're really glad. Thank you. Thank you, Annalise. Simone, tell us a little bit about you first, where you're going to school, what grade, and how things have been in general.
Hello, my name is Simone Cummings. I am a sophomore and I attend John Hay Early College. I would say for me, school has been really hectic. There's been a lot of chaos, confusion, be it schedules, or just simply navigating the computer for us and our teachers as well, who half of them didn't know what was going on when it came to how to give us assignments and how to really teach on this virtual platform. I would say in the beginning, because of how chaotic it was, it did give me a little bit of anxiety because there was no real structure. But now that we've been in it for a couple of months, we've had a bit of calm and we've understood how to navigate through this new era of learning.
Simone, thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry about the dog that you hear in the background. Hopefully he'll be quiet any second now. So I'm going to ask you guys to both go back to March 2020, when you were selected to participate in Wired. And what you've told me and others in the past is that the program worked for you. And I'm hoping that you can talk a little bit about why. Simone, why don't you go first? So sorry about that.
I'm 14 years old, even though I'm a sophomore. I skipped kindergarten, and in a lot of spaces, I'm usually the youngest. I'm the youngest in my generation when it comes to my cousins and extended family. I'm the youngest in a lot of professional spaces because I do professional theater, and I'm usually the only child actor there. A lot of times, I feel as if my voice is invalidated. A lot of times, I can be as intelligent and have key ideas, key viewpoints that will help the project, but people won't listen to me simply because of my age. I would say that being a part of Wired helped with this because I had a business owner who was willing to listen to me and take my viewpoints, and she really validated them. She didn't question me, she trusted me, and that really gave me confidence that I can use my voice.
Simone, thank you so much. Really appreciate you talking about that and sharing that. Annalise, how about for you? Why did the program seem to work?
Okay, thank you. So, with Wired in the beginning of March, like Simone said, with Wired, it gave me a platform with my client to, be able to help her, to be able to share my knowledge and to see that knowledge be effective in her life. That I know that I was able to help her be in a better space with her business, especially because her business is her entire life, and that she's like, in a better place now because I was able to share my knowledge with her. And it also gave me confidence to help me realize, I do have confidence. I do have knowledge that I am able to share, and that I'm able to share that, teach that in a way that people are able to understand.
I think both of you told me at some point in the past that this was among the first times that anybody had ever asked you to teach them anything.
Yeah, this was really the first time anybody was that I was really the first pick to um, be asked to teach something and to be listened to.
Okay. Okay. Someone, you're shaking your head yes too. So you guys, from this experience, what can we, everybody that's on this call listening to you today and those people who will watch the recording of this session, what can we learn from this? What do we as shapers of educational opportunities, as people who are committed to remake learning, what should we take away and try to replicate for other learning opportunities? What advice do you have?
Would you like me to go first?
Please, thank you.
Taking away from participating in the first pilot of the WIRE program, it taught me to do my due diligence in research. With my client, I didn't just say, "Oh, I don't know," and just like gave up, or I didn't pretend to know the answer. I wanted to make sure I was giving her the right information. So I did. It taught me that I will have to go a thousand steps forward to try and get her the right information, other than saying, "Oh, I don't know," or if I can't, just look it up on Google on the first time I search it, then I'll just give up. It taught me to keep going and to do my due diligence and researching. And another thing it taught me was to allow myself proper time for whatever I need. For example, we had to fill out application for this position to be in Wired, and um, I almost didn't fill out the application because I was super nervous and I didn't allow myself a lot of time for it. But with mentors at Indeed We Code, and they're actually the ones that reached out to me. Simone gave us this and showed us this opportunity as well. I was able to push forward and to see, I'm gonna need to allow myself time to help my client and to help myself be prepared.
Simone, other thoughts? What can we take away from this wired experience and transfer to other learning initiatives?
I would say personally, this taught me communication is key, because little things that you would think, oh, I might be 5 minutes late, but I could probably make it. Or other misunderstandings could be easily avoided if the second you know that you have a chance of being late, telling the client, yes, I might be 5 minutes late. Is that okay? Does that work with your schedule? That communication has also been seen during this online learning. When an assignment isn't working, you have to say then, my assignment isn't working, or I can't get into your class. Communication is an overall needed skill that I would say as a community we need to work on. Another thing that Wired has helped me with, I would say my sleep schedule. And I know this might seem weird because, I have to go to school, so you would think I'm a morning person, but I am not. I'm the person who has to set 5 or 6 alarms so that I can wake up in the morning. And my mentor from Indeed We Code, Miss Wilson, can attest to this. There were times when I would wake up a little late and be running behind, and she really helped me get my sleep schedule and my timeliness together, especially in the mornings, which helped me when dealing with my client, because there were times when she couldn't meet in the afternoons like normal, once she did start opening up a little. My final point would be, as a community, what we can take from it is listening, truly listening. A lot of times the youth have valid points. As we are often told, we are the future. Seeing as we are the future, we need to know what's going on. We need to have a say. Because if you make decisions for the world, they impact us, be it good or bad. So will you leave us a legacy, or will you leave us residue that we have to clean up later on? This can be easily avoided if we come together, because a lot of times the youth have poignant ideas. So I would say, as educators and as a part of this community, it is a partnership that we should have with the youth instead of talking to us, talk with us. Thank you.
Simone, thank you. And Annalise, thank you so much. So I don't know if you guys are seeing the chat, but you're hearing, there's a lot of very nice comments for you, and a couple of questions as well. Jeremy, Tim, is it okay for us to kind of redo things a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was thinking the same thing, Alyssa. You read my mind. I wanted to mention in particular this message from Alex Leslie at MyCom. Your voices are so much needed in our business communities, especially in this moment. Thank you. And I did see, Alyssa, a question that I think is worth answering too from Kristen Mahovlik. Sorry if I messed that name up. May we know what types of businesses you worked with and the type of work that you did for them? Can you talk a little bit more specifically about that? Annalise, at random.
Oh, okay. Hi. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yeah, so my business owner was a small business owner, and she sold natural fragrances and lotions and soaps out of her store, which was also her home as well. So she was a natural creator with the skincare and fragrances and stuff.
And what did you do for her to support that business?
What I did for her, I helped her feel more comfortable on the computer. She was very we sent her a laptop, and she was very uncomfortable. She really didn't even know how to open the computer. So I was able to, make her feel more comfortable, and kind of get her better in the waters with the computer. I was able to get her help her open up her Gmail account, and I was able to help her feel comfortable sending and receiving emails, and also attaching things to the email so that she can communicate with clients as well, and helping her get a more online presence.
Whoops, Simone, that makes a lot of sense. Simone, what about you? What was the company that you worked with?
I worked with Mrs. Stewart. She owns a Katika Styles beauty salon. It's a beauty salon on the west side. She mainly targets African American females, but she does a little bit of everything for everyone. She makes her own hair care products as well as does in salon treatments. My job was more of helping her online presence than just getting her online. So she knew the basics of a computer, and she had social media accounts, but she didn't know how to make the social media accounts work for her and in her benefit. So that was more of my role, seeing based off your demographic, which social media sites do you need to put more effort into, and how should you market it to this demographic, and things like that.
That's really incredible. I want to read one more comment from the chat. Michelle Walton says, Annalise and Simone, you represent yourselves, your families, and indeed we code well. Your leaders and trailblazers, we're so proud of you. You are the present, and we hear you now. So thank you so much for sharing with us. This sounds like it was really an incredible opportunity, one that I wish I had available to share with the students in the districts where I worked in the past. So what I think is this: we have 16 minutes left in time. And I think that even though this is pretty early for an event that's happening in May, there are a lot of challenges and obstacles to overcome in this crazy world we're living in, to make programming that's as impactful, that reaches people to the level that these students were reached and were given the opportunity to really make a difference. So Tim, I wonder if maybe we should move into some breakouts and discuss our plans at the stage and start to figure out what our needs are to make Remake Learning Days as successful and impactful as Wired/Wire Ed.
Yeah, I think that's right. Thank you all so much. Keep in mind, this is a meetup. So we're trying to connect with one another, where some of you have ideas already, some of you are looking to brainstorm. So let's just get in there and talk a little bit.
All right, so what we're going to ask you to do is jump in, and we're not going to, there's not a formal agenda for this few minutes, but we'd like you to talk about is the types of programming you think you're going to do or might be doing, what your planned activities are, and perhaps most importantly, because we're here in a community, what it is that you think you need to succeed. Now, I'm going to give one little caveat to that number 3, which is I know that the first answer for me and probably all of you is somebody to bring out the checkbook. But since that's an issue we all have, let's think about those other things that we have. How do we reach kids? How do we distribute content? I don't know. What are the things that you're going to need? So we're going to spend just about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back to close out at about 5 till. Angie?
Okay.
I got moved.
Hi, group. We're back.
And we're back.
Okay.
I'm pull my participants list up. It looks like everybody is back in. I'd like to take just a minute or two for each of the groups to share really quickly out. I'll start. So group one, we had Joan, Katie, Alex, Michelle, and John from a variety of organizations. The bulk of them, Alyssa and Tim, are very excited to participate this year. None of them yet have their program selected because they're all from organizations that have a variety of programs available. So they're going to think about what it is that would make the most sense. But the challenge is that they're thinking about right now, at least that they mentioned in our couple minutes, is number one, how do we recruit and support people in a virtual environment? We're used to doing this type of programming in in-person environments. So how do we get our kids on? This wasn't mentioned, but it made me think about the equity and access issue. If it's a virtual event, how do we ensure that all kids can access? And also Katie mentioned that they're a university campus, and this actually takes place after the semester's over. So there are some pluses and minuses to both access to facilities as a plus, but fewer kids on campus as a minus. Tim, can you share?
Sure, and I'll be quick to leave room for others. In our breakout room, most people had a fairly defined idea of what they were going to do. And there are some pretty cool activities going on. A scavenger hunt. There's some outdoor learning, which makes me very happy, a combination outdoor and virtual that we think can take place. I think our big takeaway actually goes back to something that Simone said that was picked up upon in our session. And that is, how do we build in reflective, or to use Terry's terminology, debriefing time to these activities? Because that's just as important as doing the activity, is providing some kind of space for people to debrief and reflect back on it, to hear from the students. So we were lucky that we had, Simone in our group there. And yeah. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tim. Scott, can you share a little bit about your group?
Sure. In our group, we had Pat Ackerman, who is the founder of Indeed We Code, and Robin Hilsmeyer, who's the executive director of the Ohio Invention League that runs Invention Convention. And we also had my colleague Karen from the Great Lakes Science Center. So the Science Center is going to do virtual and in person. We do these things called capsule chats in our NASA gallery that are quite entertaining. They aren't available all the time online. It's actually a paid program, but we are going to open that up for the public during the week of Remake Learning Days. They will be timed, they'll be live, not pre-recorded, so they're super engaging. And then we have family workshops on site. And since we have limited capacity, we want to do a mixture of virtual and in person. We want to give everyone access. We want to have as many people interact with our programs. And that's why I think going virtual versus just doing on site will be beneficial. Robin was looking for ideas on how to translate Invention Convention into a virtual program. And we ended up talking through maybe showcasing the kids' processes, their inventions, they have a deep archives of digital stories about the kids that were creating inventions for Invention Convention. So their problem solving techniques and their pitching at the end. So I think that would be quite beneficial for people to watch that. She's still working on how we can do actual activities. The question was, does every person that signs up for these or joins a Zoom meeting, do they all have the same materials at home? Of course they don't. So that's an interesting problem to figure out a solution for. And then Pat over at Indeed We Code says her team wants to do virtual. She's holding out hope that they can do something in person, and they're still working on the content ideas to move forward. So fingers crossed that we get to do something face-to-face in May.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. And I'm going to owe all of you a coffee when we're back together, because we're going to go just like 3 or 4 minutes over, and I apologize for that. Yulin, can you share out really quick?
Sure. So I was in a fantastic group with Lisa Mack and Melanie Joseph. Hopefully I And we had a really good discussion about, well, first I just wanted to learn more about each of these fantastic people and their organizations. But our conversation led to equity and inclusion, and we talked about the importance of making events available. We talked about harnessing the power of youth teaching youth. And we just had a conversation generally about making sure that we reach out to young people and often. So we didn't get into specific events ideas, but it was a really good conversation, one that I hope to continue. Hopefully I represented our conversation well.
Perfect. Thank you, Ling. And finally, Alyssa.
Actually, it's going to be Annalise sharing
All right.
for our group. Okay, Annalise, it's you.
Okay, hi, thank you. So with our group, we first talked about how we can really reach students of more of my age to get more involved. And then I was in a group with Miss Alyssa, Mr. Nick, Corn, forgive me if I said that wrong, Kristen Matt, Kristen Mahovlik, and Michelle. I can't see your last name, though. I'm so, but Miss Michelle. And we talked about mostly how we can get more students my age to be more connected, and we also bounced off questions of how we can bring STEM into their specific programs via virtual. And we also talked about some of the struggles that we were having with virtual as well. And we were able to network and connect with things going forward as well. And CMSD is planning Rock Your World with STEM.
Excellent. It's a great ongoing program that I'm glad to have as part of this as well. So listen, it's clear from this discussion that Northeast Ohio, at least from my mini discussion, and it sounds like from the ones that I just heard about, gets why learning needs to be more directed, more engaging for family and communities, and perhaps most importantly, that all students deserve access to STEM programming in school and out of school. And we can really affect that second portion with participation in this program. We can't wait to showcase what we're capable of to the nation on May 15th through the 23rd, 2021. For more information, follow-up, or resources, Tim's email is in the chat or will be in a moment. And remember, there are still some mini grants left, and that link is in the chat as well.
Yes.
Here's your call to action. Please get together with your teams this week and next and start to determine your programming. It'd be really great if you could try to nail that down. It's okay if you don't, but try to nail down what the programming is going to be by our next meeting so we can focus on that. So that's all that I have. Tim, do you have any last words?
I do. Well, just to thank everyone. Thank you so much, Simone and Annalise. I mean, you really kind of set the tone for this whole conversation and made it really meaningful. So thank you again for that. My email is in the chat, as is a link to a Google form to apply for one of those mini grants, that can help you with supplies, with anything else you might need. Reach out to me anytime, and I'm really looking forward to putting a Northeast Ohio stamp on Remake Learning across America. Thank you all very much.